Fiat was co-founded by Giovanni Agnelli and his team in Turin, Italy, in 1899. They are Italy's largest automotive manufacturer. As well as building cars and vans, they also have a history in planes, train engines, military vehicles and weapons, and tractors. In 1899, Fiat launched a range of small cars. These included the 4, 6, 8 and 10 HP models. These were powered by two-cylinder engines ranging between 700 and 1100 cc's. They had a top speed of 28 miles an hour and roughly 125 were sold during the first couple of years. This was soon followed in 1901 by the Fiat 2432 HP. It was powered by four-cylinder engines ranging from 6.4 to 7.4 litres in size. It was the first car in the world to feature an accelerator pedal and a 4-speed gearbox. In 1902, Fiat launched their first ever purpose-built race car, the 24 HP Corsa. It had a 7.2 litre engine with 40 horsepower and could do over 60 miles an hour. Between 1904 and 1906, Fiat offered the 60 HP. It was classed as an ultra-luxury vehicle, and it had engines ranging from 10.6 to 11 litres in size. In 1912, Fiat launched the Zero. A small car with only 18 horsepower, it could do 50 miles an hour. They sold 2,000 of this model, making it their most highest production model to date. However, the factory had to close in 1915 to build World War I equipment. 1912 also saw the release of the Tipo 2B. It was a scaled-up Zero, and it went on to sell 22,500 models in 8 years. In 1918, following World War I, Fiat begins building tractors. It started out with the 702 and the 703 series, and by 1925 it had already built 2,000 units. By 1929, it was building over 1,000 tractors a year. 1919 sees Fiat launch its first post-World War I models, the 501, 502 and 503. They managed to sell over 110,000 in just 8 years. In 1921, Fiat launches the 520 Super Fiat. It was powered by a 6.8 litre V12 that produced 90 horsepower. At the time of its launch, it was the only car in the world that had a V12 engine. In 1932, Fiat launches the 508. It was powered by a 1 litre 4-cylinder engine, and at the time of its launch it was one of Europe's cheapest cars. They managed to sell 113,000 models before production was halted due to World War II. In 1935, Fiat launches the 1500. It was one of the first cars in the world to have been designed in a wind tunnel, making it more aerodynamic than its competition. This helped it achieve a top speed of 75 miles an hour. They managed to sell 46,000 models in 14 years, despite the fact that people at the time of launch didn't believe that aerodynamic cars would be popular. In 1936, Fiat launched the 500 Topolino. Topolino is Italian for little mouse. It was powered by a 569cc 4-cylinder engine, which could produce between 13 and 16 horsepower, enough to power the lightweight Topolino to over 50 miles an hour. It came available as a saloon, an estate, a convertible and a van. The Topolino was also built under license by Simca, who marketed their version as the Simca 5. In 1950, Fiat launches their first new post-World War II car, the Fiat 1400. It's the first Fiat to ever come with a monocoque chassis, as well as being the first Fiat to come with a diesel engine or semi-automatic gearbox. In total, nearly 200,000 of these were built. In 1951, Fiat launches a new generation of tractor, the 25R. These were always painted in orange, however there are many different models and styles to choose between. In total, over 45,000 of these tractors were built. In 1951, Fiat launches the Campagnola, an alternative to America's Jeep. There were both military and civilian versions available. It was also sold under license by Renault. The model rose to fame in 1981 when Pope John Paul II suffered an assassination attempt while riding in the back of one. In 1953, Fiat launches the 1100. It stayed in production for 16 years, and it was a hugely popular model. An Indian company bought the rights to the design and carried it on in production until 2001 as the Premier Padmini. This gave the Fiat 1100 design a 48-year production run, one of the longest in the world. In 1954, Fiat showcases the Turbina concept, a 300 horsepower gas turbine model, capable of over 160 miles an hour. However, it never came to production as it used a lot of fuel and suffered from overheating problems. In 1955, Fiat launches the 600 and the 600 Multipla. The Multipla was one of the world's first mass-produced multi-people vehicles. The 600 was praised for being cheap to buy and capable of 50 miles to the gallon. Despite its tiny size, it was also quite spacious in size, with the 600 Multipla being able to fit 6 people in a car that was smaller in length and width than the modern-day Fiat 500. Fiat managed to sell nearly 5 million 600 in its lifetime, making it one of the most popular Fiats in history, with a huge presence in its home market in Italy. 2 years later, Fiat launches an even smaller model sharing a similar design, the Fiat 500. It's under 3 metres long, and it's one of the world's first purpose-built city cars. The engines available were also small, ranging from 479 to 600cc. In total, nearly 4 million were sold, and it's one of the most iconic designs known today. By 1957, Fiat has built over 100,000 tractors, making it one of the largest tractor manufacturers in Europe. In 1966, Fiat launches the 124, and in 1967 this car goes on to be the first Fiat to ever win the European Car of the Year title. It was praised for its advanced suspension and brakes, and this made it good to drive and comfortable. It had a practical, useful design, and it was a massive sales success. It was produced in India until 2001 as the Premier 118NE. It was also built as the Lada Riva right up until 2012 and even until 2015 in Egypt. It's the second most produced car in history, with 17,300,000 models being built altogether. In 1966, Fiat launched the Dino. It was a rear-wheel drive V6 coupe that gained its name due to the fact that Fiat was supplying V6 engines for Ferrari's range of Dino models. At the time, Ferrari only built V12 engines.